Ladies and gentlemen, James Lane here, and in this segment, we're going to talk all about the executive orders that Biden signed on his first day in office. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't like it any more than you do, okay? And think about it like this. Imagine if you were me. I have to watch all of his speeches. I have to listen to everything Kamala Harris has to say. I have to write about this. I got to think about this. I got to talk about this every single day. You guys can take a break. You can hit the pause button, go sit by the pool, go have some enchiladas. I don't know. I'm just making all that up. Look, folks, stick with me. We got to at least inform you of the facts of what's going on, all right, so that you can be prepared for what's to come. Stick with me. Ladies and gentlemen, James Lane here, and we're going to talk about Biden. We're going to talk about some of the things he did on his first day, mainly in the form of executive orders. This isn't fun stuff to talk about. I'm going to try to make it fun for you, but you need to know this stuff. You have to know what we're up against. You have to know what we need to speak up about. If you're not informed, you're not going to be able to defend the right the way you need to. We're not going to be able to spread this word, to affect people, to stitch the right together into a coalition of similar yet respectable and different thoughts and beliefs about this country. The left unites over anything. Over anything. Nancy Pelosi could be threatening genocide. And AOC, she could be trying to raise a socialist kingdom. But when it's time to unite, everybody puts their differences aside, gets together, and does what they have to do in Washington to screw us, the little people, ladies and gentlemen. And I know I'm tired of being screwed. I know a lot of people I know are tired of being screwed. I am betting that you're tired of being screwed as well. But folks, let's understand that there are other ways to handle these things. And we have to be prepared to be strapped in for the long haul. Okay, folks? And the first place to start, the first place is going to be knowledge. And I'm going to give you that knowledge because we're going to go through this article here from the Epic Times. We're going to talk about some of the executive orders that are put out. And we're going to try to put it across to you as best we can. Anyway, let's start reading. All right, guys. This is by Mimi Win Lee. All right, Mimi Win Lee, the Epic Times. Biden mandates masks, rejoins Paris Climate Accord, among other executive actions on first day in office. President Joe Biden. Sorry. I'm so sorry I had to say that out loud. On his first day in office, took a total of 17 executive actions, including to mandate masks and having the United States rejoin the United Nations Paris Climate Accord. The new president is mandating social distancing and the wearing of masks on federal property in a new executive order. He also launched a 100-day masking challenge to compel all Americans to wear a mask everywhere for the first 100 days of his administration in an effort to prevent the spread of the China virus, which caused the disease, COVID-19. Biden's also creating a COVID-19 response coordinator position to fill the role former Vice President Mike Pence played in the Trump administration's coronavirus task force, and will re-embed his COVID-19 pandemic response team within the National Security Council. Folks, Kamala Harris is going to be way too busy training to become a dictator to have anything to do with the China virus like Mike Pence did. I don't know what to think of these people. With all of the Hollywood elite taking care of each other at the end of what happened here. I have nothing good to say about Mike Pence. I'm sorry. I don't want to say anything bad either, but I don't have anything good to say. That's the honest truth. Nothing good to say at all. He's also calling on Congress to pass extensions for COVID-19 aid, extend eviction and foreclosure moratoriums, and pause payments for federal loans, including student loans. Biden took a few actions over policies to address climate change, including signing a document that allows the United States to rejoin the Paris Climate Accord within 30 days. He released a statement that said he will hereby accept the Paris Agreement and every article and clause thereof on behalf of the United States of America and you, my tax-paying brothers and sisters. You and I will be paying for that waste of time. Biden, he took, former President Donald Trump, former President Donald Trump first announced in 2017 his intention to withdraw from the Paris Climate Accord, calling the United Nations framework to tackle climate change a total disaster. And it is a total disaster. We're paying more than everybody else, and we're getting nothing in return. And the results we're supposed to get are mind-bogglingly tiny, minuscule, not worth it. We need to find a different way for whatever it is we need to do to help the environment. But the Paris Climate Accord is not doing that, and that is the truth. That is the truth at all. A total disaster for U.S. economy that was too lenient toward communist China and its greenhouse gases emissions. Remember, communist China literally lives in a gaseous state. They are so polluted, folks, so polluted. The Paris Climate Accord is simply the latest example of Washington entering into an agreement that disadvantages the United States and to the exclusive benefit of other countries, leaving American workers who I love and taxpayers to absorb the cost in terms of lost jobs, lower wages, shuttered factories, and vastly diminished economic production, Trump stated in 2017. And that's where we're headed again, ladies and gentlemen. So if you're looking to sell your house, I might do so while the bubble is big, because it may just pop. I think Biden is going to tank this economy no matter what he does. I don't think he's capable. I don't think anybody on his staff is capable. I don't think the vice president, Kamala Harris, I don't think she is capable. I don't think any of them are capable of stopping the economy from collapsing right on top of them like an Acme anvil, crushing the coyote like an accordion. The United States formally left the climate agreement on November 4th, 2020, but Biden on November 5th, 2020, vowed that he would have the country rejoin the agreement once he came into office. Former President Barack Obama, he had the United States join the accord during the final months of his administration in 2016, and at the time, he said that the fight against climate change is not one that any one country, no matter how powerful, can take on alone. In a separate executive order, then, Biden directed federal agencies to review and address actions taken by the Trump administration on the environment and public health. The order involves a number of other action items, including revoking authorization for the Keystone XL oil pipeline and placing a moratorium on the Arctic oil and gas leasing. Expect your gas prices to go up. Expect unrest, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not calling for it. I hope there is no unrest. I hope we all use our noggins. I hope we put our heads together to do the right thing and find cultural, social, big tech, however ways we have to affect people. But we have to do it with words, with hearts, with minds. Folks, we're going to have thousands and thousands and thousands. We're going to have so many unemployed oil pipeline folks that it's not funny. And unfortunately, with everything that's gone on and tensions over the boiling point, who knows? Who knows how they'll react when they can't feed their families, folks? Horrible. Absolutely horrible. Biden's also having the United States rejoin the United Nations World Health Organization, reversing another Trump decision for the country to leave the WHO after criticisms over the body's handling of the CCP virus outbreak from Wuhan. Yep. So we're back to the WHO, listening to folks that are pandering to Chinese oligarchs, Chinese communists, Chinese bank tellers, communist Chinese, of course, not the hardworking people from China. I'm talking about their government. A number of actions to promote equality of outcome, meaning people end up in the same place no matter what. Complacency, that's a better word for it, complacency. But, you know, working hard's racist now. Equality of outcome according to an individual's social identity were also signed on January 20th, including an executive order that Biden's team said would advance racial equity, and another executive order that disbands the Trump administration's 1776 commission that sought to promote national unity through education about America's founding principles over historical revisionism, that the commission said tackles claims of systemic racism with more discrimination. And we see that happening right now. We see the left truly for the racists and bigots that they are, speaking in another language from us. We don't understand them. They don't understand us. They just disapprove of our way of life and call it white supremacy, because they don't actually have a label for it. That's why they're calling black people, brown people, all kinds of people from all races. They're calling them white supremacists because the left defines white supremacy as a concept. They're screwing with words, ladies and gentlemen, and we're going by our definitions and they're going by their definitions. And meanwhile, while we bicker with each other and nobody knows what we're talking about and our language barrier is sky high, the elites in Washington are screwing us, reaching their hands into our wallets, purses, and pocketbooks, taking the cash, taking the cards, and laughing all the way to the Chinese Communist Bank. Horrible, folks. Absolutely horrible. A number of actions to promote equality of outcome, folks. A number of actions to promote equality of outcome. Just you wait and see how horrible that will be for minority communities and for poor communities of all colors, races, and ethnicities. Absolutely terrible. You're going to see massive poverty. Massive poverty. You're going to see massive ignorance. You're going to see massive confusion. You're going to see massive families disintegrating. Absolutely devastating, ladies and gentlemen. They want to kill the nuclear family. Remember, it used to be on the about page for Black Lives Matter that it's racist, it's discriminative to have a mother and a father raising children in one household. Absolutely terrible. Folks, racial equity is just a fancy word for socialism. If it's across the board, it becomes socialism. That's all it is. So if you say you're against racial equity, they get to call you racist because it's a play on words, just like Black Lives Matter is a play on words. I need you to think about that, folks. It's very important that you do. It's very important that you understand how they're screwing with the English language, to pull the wool over your eyes and take the country out from under our feet. All of us. It's going to come to bite the left's ass, too. I promise you. It's going to bite them in the butt. And it's not going to be pretty. We have a duty to push back against the left's ideology. We have a duty to do it peacefully. We have a duty to do it smartly and sharply. We have a duty to do it with the right words and concepts and influence to affect the next generations to come, ladies and gentlemen. Biden also signed an executive order that directs the government to interpret the Civil Rights Act as one that prohibits workplace discrimination, including on the basis of sexual orientation and gender identity, and not just race, color, religion, sex, and national origin. Well, folks, I don't know what to tell you with that. For public companies, probably, or most likely federal companies, however it is, if you're a small company and let's say you're a Christian company or a Catholic company, and that's not your cup of tea, you probably won't have a choice at that point. We're not sure how that actually translates and how that goes, but most likely with everything they're doing on the left anyway, that's what it will turn out to be. Nobody has individual liberty anymore. The choices are made for you and shoved down your throat. That's why you have to speak up, ladies and gentlemen. If you're talking, they can't shove their policies down your throat. Can't put in and out at the same time. Doesn't work like that, folks. Does not work like that. The president, can you just say Biden? Biden also took a slew of other actions addressing immigration on his first day. These include a memorandum that directs the Department of Homeland Security and Department of Justice to preserve and fortify the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals, DACA. You remember DACA? Yeah. An executive action to repeal the Trump administration's restrictions for passport holders from 7 Muslim majority countries, and an executive order that reverses Trump's decision to exclude illegal immigrants from the census. So by opening those travel plans up to those Muslim countries that we knew had terrorist activity going on, that we knew had major problems, we're now opening our country to even more violence. Not saying that there aren't good people that go back and forth, but bad people also get in as well, ladies and gentlemen. And having illegals added to the census decide the seats in Congress, the district, the zoning. So you might end up with a couple more Democrats in an elected position. Be very, very careful with that, ladies and gentlemen. Be very, very careful indeed. He also pushed out a memorandum to further extend temporary protected status and working authorization to Liberians from Liberia. I thought it said Liberians, like librarian, a few times, but then I realized it was Liberia. Granted refuge in America before 2007. They're giving more temporary protected status. Biden also signed an executive order that would seek to reverse Trump's immigration enforcement and reset the policies and practices to align enforcement with the Biden administration's values and priorities. Part of the order involves revoking Trump's Executive Order 13768, signed in 2017, which withheld federal funding from sanctuary cities. So the money is going to get pumped right back into those illegal harboring cities, ladies and gentlemen, where the murders had been happening and have been happening. He also signed a separate proclamation to pause the U.S.-Mexico border wall, the building of it, completely, and figure out how to take that money and spend it on something else. Screw your safety, folks. Screw your wall, ladies and gentlemen. When I read these, loosening up immigration, loosening up ICE, all these different things. When I see the wall stopping being built, all I think about is how many MS-13 we're going to see come back to our country and make war on our streets. And you'll have nobody but Biden to blame, even though he'll blame it all on Trump. You'll see it. Things are going to start falling apart. And it's going to be Trump's fault for setting up Biden for failure. Just wait. Biden signed 2 other separate executive orders on January 20th. One addressed new ethics commitments for executive branch appointees aimed at maintaining public trust in government. Yippee. And the other focused on reviewing executive branch regulatory actions in a way that ensure the promotion of the administration's values, informed by public engagement with relevant stakeholders. So basically, they want people that see eye to eye. Folks, not the best things in the world, not the best news in the world, but you're going to have to hear about it because you're going to have to be informed. We'll probably hear about more executive orders tomorrow. We're going to see bad things. We're going to see money lost. We're going to see families hurt. Things aren't going to be happy for a while. But this isn't the end, folks. This isn't over. We're not done. Trump's one of us again. He ascended up to the top, as you can do in the United States of America. The Bidens did everything in their power, every shifty trick in the book. There was a violent event that happened, unfortunately. That violent event put any strategical gains we had in the toilet, and the left capitalized. And here we are with Biden and Kamala Harris, ladies and gentlemen. But Trump, again, he's returned. He's one of us. And make no mistake, he'll keep inspiring us, he'll keep building, and he'll put us in the right direction. And more importantly, we'll take those steps to put ourselves in the right direction and do what we have to do personally, publicly, and peacefully to affect the next generation to come and to have our hand on the steering wheel of society, cultural development, social media, and big tech. So, folks, I really appreciate you watching. I really appreciate you listening. If you aren't watching and you're just listening to the podcast, as you can tell, for those who are watching, I've been up since like 2 a.m. And I'm not talking 2 a.m. today. I'm talking 2 a.m. yesterday. I'm exhausted and I got to be at work at 5 in the morning. So I'm going to take a nap for like 2 hours, and then I'm going to get my butt ready for work. I hope you enjoyed what we did. Do me a favor, join the newsletter, the mailing list. We're going to give you information every day now that we're not on Parler with it crashing, but we will do everything we can to keep you informed until it comes back on. But we're also going to give you information because that's called Project Underground Railroad. It's lines of communications, folks, plays on words just like the left does. And we are going to give you more information as it comes out about the American Reveille street teams we're going to be setting up so we can go old school. We can go old school and we can spread the word about the American Reveille movement. While everybody else is paralyzed going, oh, there's no social media. Oh, my God, what do we do? We're going to hit the street like we did back in the day. And we're going to make sure that the Patriots are informed. If you want to be a part of that, if you want to get in early and be on the waiting list so you can help us out, please send me a direct email, jameslane@americanreveille.com, jameslane@americanreveille.com. Also, if you'd love to help out, we'd love your help. We could really use it to keep expanding the company and protecting ourselves during these horrible, horrible times of censorship. www.americanreveille.com, and please hit the tab that says support us and support us in any way you can. We greatly, greatly appreciate it. A lot of new stuff coming soon, website coming soon, all kinds of new operations and imperatives coming soon. We have a meeting this weekend where we're going to hash out a couple direct pathways to where we need to be so we can start scaling up and competing with the big dogs a little bit. Keep paying attention to what we're doing. You are here with us side by side, a grassroots movement. You are here with us, ladies and gentlemen. You are not alone. You are not falling apart. You are not struggling. You're here with us. We are together. And together, we're going to change history. Folks, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye.